blessing. Amen. Amen. In this video, we're gonna learn about how we can take a song that is a very gospel song like Alpha and Omega as an inspiration to do things to very contemporary songs, like for example, The Blessing or other songs that we play. First, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play it very simple so you can learn. If you're watching this video, you never heard this song before, so you can watch it and say, okay, these are the chord progressions for the song, so you can also learn it. It's a very beautiful song, so I'm gonna pick the key of G. And in the verse, usually starts from my E minor to the D to the G. You are Alpha and Omega. I'm gonna do it very simple so you can learn the chord progression. 1/3, we to the 4, worship to the 2, our Lord to the 5, to my D. You are worthy, walks up to the 1. Maybe for me, the most simple way to learn the song. Now I'm gonna play it kind of, if I was gonna play it, I would start the same way. So I would start, you are Alpha. So now, instead of going to my 4 hole, I hold my G chord here. And in my right hand, I follow that melody and I do my 4 chord, my C chord. And Omega. Back to my G. Now let's try that from the top. You are Alpha and back to the G. Yeah. Now we go 1/3. And what I do is like I hold my G chord here and here I do B, G, and B again. We to my 4 chord. And this is my form that I usually do for my C chord. So I kind of hold my G. We worship to my 2 chord. And what I usually do here, A, E, and then here I usually do my C chord, inverted. We worship, you are. And then I do in my left hand. So instead of doing that D chord, I usually hold my D chord. But then in my right hand, I add my G chord. You are 5. Then we do this progression, E, kind of my C chord, worthy to be the D chord, and then I add a minor 4 over D. So I usually do, here I do D, A, and then here my right hand, what I do, you are worthy to be, back to my G. So now let's do it on a real speed so you can get the sense of it. We worship you are Lord. At the end, it repeats again. Same thing. Now, every time I play it, you usually add a little bit extra all the time. So if I would add something different, I would be you are Alpha. And also remember doing the melody with your right hand. And Omega, we worship. And adding an F chord right here. You are Lord, you are worthy to be. So now let's learn that kind of movement that I did there. So I add my F chord. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. And then what I did in this time, I did my kind of like I'm gonna walk down, and I did this gospel riff. So I do. So then I walk down. So I do. And I do my same progression in my minor chord in my hand. And this is a beautiful chord that I usually do for my G chord. So if you're wondering, what do you did there for your G chord? This is my usually chord to go in my G. B, D, E, F sharp, and A. Sounds different. So I'm gonna do the verse again in real time, and then we're gonna go to the chorus, and we're gonna add a super common gospel riff that you might hear a couple times, but what different ways I can do it different. So starting with the verse again. You are. We worship you are. You are worthy to be praised. And then if we want to go to the chorus, it usually goes from G, it walks down to E. So my 6th minor. We give you all the glory. And then it keeps going. But now, what can I add that it sounds different? If you play in the key of G, and that's your 1 chord, and you're trying to get your 6th chord, you need to understand what ways you can get there. So like, if I was playing this song and I'm in the key of G, so I'm G, walk down, and I add a 3 major right here. That's usually how I do my 3 major. So if I do it in real time, we give you all. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play simple. We give you all. It doesn't sound bad, but now you need to understand the voices, the harmonies, where the song is going. Understanding that the melody does, we give you, and that's a major 3. The glory. Then he walks down. That's the little thing. So like, 1 is understanding your song, getting prepared ahead of time. That's one of the things that when people ask me and say, how do you know that you were gonna do this? Or how do you know that you're gonna do this? Well, I know the song. And that's one of the things, if I don't know the song, I try to learn it. So when I'm playing, I can do this kind of stuff without feeling pressure. Because if you try to do this stuff out of the top of your mind, just like I'm gonna do it, and you really don't know the theory behind it, you can get lost. And that's why you don't want when you're playing live, when you're playing at church, when you're playing anywhere you're playing. If you are in the key of G, and you're walking down to your 6th chord, understanding that 3 major to your 6 is gonna be ideal, because you can do different things. You can do, and this kind of movement I explained in one of the videos that is linked in this channel. So the chorus, so you can understand the chorus, is we walk down, 3 major. Then it walks to G, to D, sorry. Then back to C. 1/3. This is the progression that I do. G in my right hand, and then B, then C, we worship. Back to my 2 chord. You are Lord. And now here, I can add an F chord. You are Lord. You are worthy to be praised. You can do it again. Down there, we worship. Now I can take that six minor and convert it into a major. That's another thing that you need to understand. Going into U2 minor is always going to be a major as a transition chord. So let's do the chorus, and I'm going to explain how I can go to that 2 minor using my 6 major and understanding why. So if we go to the chorus, we give you all the glory. We now in my 4, and I can walk using my 6, that is a minor, and convert it in a major. And this is usually the progression that I do, very gospel. As an E major. And again, the more comfortable you get with the song, the more things that you can do. So now that we have learned kind of what alpha and omega, maybe what are the things that you can do, how we can take these ideas from this song and incorporate it into a contemporary song. For this example, I'm going to use a blessing, and how we can incorporate a few ideas of alpha and omega into the blessing. Or maybe the feeling, how we can change the feeling of the song. It's different ways that you can add some maybe a gospel feeling. So if I'm playing the blessing, the chorus, adding that, amen. What did I do there? So understanding that if I want to get to my 4 chord, in my right hand, I can basically add the F chord, but invert it here in my left with my D chord. So 1/3. Man. And I usually do this chord, which is a very gospel chord. Amen. 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 And right here, you 3 major. Do that again. Amen. You can add a minor 4 there. Amen. And you saw that. I was literally thinking at the time, I say, hey, a minor 4 here sounds good. Never tried it before, playing the blessing, but if one day I'm playing it and I'm feeling, I'm playing amen. For my minor 4, I usually do this progression here in my left. And then here, E flat, G, B, and then D. Amen. Now, you can add super gospel if you take your minor 2 and you convert it to a major to go to your D chord. And this is usually my version that I do for my A, sorry. So I do D flat, A, D flat in my left, and then in my right I do E, A, B, D flat, E, and then amen, Now I'm gonna do it in real time so you can hear how that sounds. And then you can also those are the kind of things that maybe at the end of the song you say, I'm gonna incorporate some gospel. Well, now I'm gonna play both choruses. I'm gonna start with Alpha and Omega, and then I'm gonna go to the blessing. And I want you to understand that and listen, what are the different things that I do in Alpha and Omega, but also what are the similar chords or progressions that I do for the blessing. And again, these videos are for you to start training your ear, start listening, peeking the stuff. Mostly of the stuff that I do, again, is because I hear it in a song that I learned 5 years ago and implemented today. We give you glory. We worship you. You are worthy to be. And we go to the blessing. And again, when we listen to Alpha and Omega and the blessing, there are way too different songs, way too different chord progressions. But you can hear the similar things that I can do in Alpha and Omega. I do it in the blessing. And I try to incorporate as many things as I can do from Alpha and Omega into the blessing and vice versa. This is not me teaching you, yeah, if you do this chord here for Alpha and Omega, yes, do it at the blessing. No, this is why you need to listen to the song. This is why you need to learn the songs. Maybe when you're learning the songs, you say, hey, wait a minute, this sounds like very similar to X song that I learned 3 months ago. And I can borrow a chord because it's so familiar. Before you do these kind of things, maybe pitch that idea to your music director, to your worship leader, and say, hey, I was playing the blessing and I came with these ideas. One of the things that you don't want to do, especially when you're playing these kind of things, is throw people off. Maybe the singer that don't know that you're gonna do that chord progression or whatever it is. Always try to communicate. If you are the music director and you say, well, I'm gonna do this, well, communicate with your singer and say, hey, I'm planning to do this chord progression, so I don't throw you off. And maybe the singer is like, maybe I can add something into that.